So it is a fact that the majority of people who start to learn a new language, they become unsuccessful in doing so. And I've always wondered, why is this? Is it because something's wrong with you? Or perhaps is it something that you're doing that's wrong, and the method that you use and how you're learning a new language? Maybe that's the problem here. Welcome to the Polyglot Paradise. This channel is all about languages, all about language learning, language resources, language tips, and ultimately it's to help you with learning a new language. So welcome everyone to this video where we're going to be tackling the question, why do people fail at learning new languages? Why? So this video is really inspired by my own language learning experience. I've learned a few languages and I have learned so much along the way about myself, how I learn languages as well, and how I've experienced failure in this process. I also base a lot of the content in this video on my personal experience as a teacher as well, as I've taught more than 400 students in the past 3 years. I see you kind of 400 people try to learn a new language, and I learn from that as well. Whether it's from my experience or the experience of one of my 400 students, I learned that the stumbling blocks are the same. When people feel a sense of failure in learning, or a stumbling block or a roadblock in their language learning, it's usually the same exact reasons again and again. And in this video, I'm going to be uncovering the top 5 reasons why people fail at learning new languages. So the first reason is consistency. What I tell people is you could do everything right. You can have the best language learning program, a very good method. You can even have a really good teacher, an amazing teacher. You can be at the best language courses and language classes and have the opportunity to speak to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, if you are not being consistent in your learning, you will not be going anywhere. Actually, this is the number one thing that people struggle at. A lot of people learning a new language, they start with this idea that they are able to plant a seed today, and tomorrow they expect a garden. But in reality, that's not how learning a language works. It takes a lot of consistency and working every day to absorb information, to practice. Learning a new language takes effort every single day. Even a little bit a day goes a long way. It's much better to study even 30 minutes a day than sitting down for 7 hours once a week, right? And this is why, for me personally, in my experience learning Russian, I felt that I learned way faster than people who actually took Russian language classes in university for 3 hours a week. Well, compared to me, I studied at least 1 hour every single day for a year, right? So I felt like that was way more effective than someone who spent like so much money on Russian language course in which they sit and practice Russian and do Russian homework and stuff 3 hours a week in a classroom. Even if you're in a language class, if you're not doing the work every day, you're not going to go far. One of the reasons why you need to space things out, and the reason you can't do everything at once, is because your brain needs time to develop those neural connections when you're sleeping, when you're not learning a new language. There's so much going on in your subconscious mind that you are obviously not aware of, but your brain is really working when you're not studying. And during those times in between your study sessions or learning sessions, that is the time when you are really processing that information, but without you knowing. So that's really cool. One of the ways I like to visualize it for certain people is, imagine you have a small bucket, you got a funnel, and you want to fill it up with water. Let's just say that this bucket only can be filled with a funnel. So this is actually kind of like the language learning process, right? So the funnel is going to be kind of our language learning process. How do we fill the bucket with water? Some people, what they want, our instinct, first and foremost, is to fill it up with a fire hose and just like and just like pull it at full blast because we really, really, really want to fill that bucket with water. But what will happen is nothing goes in. A good language learner who is patient and has the consistency knows this doesn't work. What a good language learner would do is actually to put in a very slow stream of water every single day. And what happens is, as time goes by, the bucket becomes full. At one point in time, you're gonna say, wow, I really did this. I filled the bucket. It's hard because in the beginning, you don't see it. You put a little bit of water in the funnel and it just keeps going, but you don't see anything until you really, really, really wait and put in that constant effort. It's the same thing with you learning a new language, right? It's the same exact principle. When people, they really want to put that fire hose on full blast, but it doesn't work that way. You need time and you need effort every day on a consistent basis, period. So some people, they get excited the first day they're learning a new language. They spend like so many hours on their first day, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't see the results right away. And a week later, 2 weeks later, they find themselves just giving up and not continuing with the learning process because they don't see the results right away. The results come in time. And a lot of the times the consistency is the key, and that is the one thing people are missing. The second reason is the lack of efficiency tied with poor curriculum or poor resources for learning. So what this means is that people, when they're learning a new language, they don't really put a lot of thought into what they're learning, and they think that learning a language is all about hard work, which it is. But if you are not putting your energy and your time in the right places, you are not doing yourself a favor here. A good language learner puts efficiency into their equation. They know what they need to know to learn this language. So what they're going to do is they're going to learn the most common words in that language. If you're learning any language, try to learn the top 100 verbs and learn how to use those verbs. Learn how those verbs are used in a conversation. Make sentences using those verbs, and you will see, you will be able to speak. If you're starting off with a new language, try to see if your language has a word frequency list. Now, I know for sure that a lot of the European ones, especially like Italian, French, Spanish, those Romance languages, they usually have a word frequency list that you could buy. It usually shows you like the top 1,000 words in that language. This including adverbs, prepositions, nouns, verbs. And that is a really good, solid foundation for you. If you're really wanting to be serious in learning a new language, you gotta put your focus in the right places. When learning a new language, what do people focus on? Some people focus on children's fairy tales. Some people focus on literary works. Some people focus on really spending 1,000 hours on grammar, putting their face in a grammar book and just studying only the grammar excessively. Or they may be focusing on a language program that really focuses on the sentence, the book is on the table. The book is on the table. The book is read and is under the table. Now, I'm not saying any of those things are wrong, but what a lot of people do is they focus on the wrong things. What you should be focusing on first and foremost, the primary focus should be on dialogue, conversation. Because it is a language and you plan to speak it, focus on the conversation skills, right? Focus on resources that have some sort of dialogue to it, where there are two people talking, they're greeting each other, they're talking about their life, they're talking about their children, what they do for a living, because these are the questions people are most likely going to ask you in real life. What do you do in life? Where are you from? How are you? What is your occupation? How old are you? Do you have any siblings? Where do you live? Do you like the city? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do on the weekend? What do you like to eat? All these can be learned from high quality resources with very good dialogues. These dialogues, they offer some sort of structure, sentence structure that you can use and manipulate. And you can you can say a whole bunch of other things by using one sentence and using it as a structure and foundation, right? I talked about sentence mining in a previous video, and I don't want to talk about it here because that's a whole nother topic, but these dialogues should present to you a set of sentence structures, basic fundamental sentence structures that you can use in your own conversations. A good language learner will manipulate these sentences and try to use these sentences as the foundation to make new sentences, new ideas, and they can put a little fresh taste on it when they're having a conversation. I also wanted to say that your consistency is a reflection of how badly you want this language. And this leads me to my next point, which is number 3, people depending on others and not holding themselves accountable. If you are in a language class and you are only relying on the teacher and the stuff from the course, I can almost guarantee you probably will not learn this language to a level of fluency. That's the T. People rely on others too much, and they complain that, oh, this teacher didn't teach me well enough, which may be true, but
how am I not fluent? I took 4 years of Spanish in high school. How am I not fluent?
Well, if you only rely on those Spanish classes for you to learn Spanish, there's no way you're learning Spanish, trust me. As I said before, you can have the best teacher, the best opportunities, but if you're not being consistent and you're not holding yourself accountable and you're not learning outside of the classroom, that's probably the reason why you're not fluent or you're not reaching your language goals. You need to go above and beyond what you're given in life. If you're not in a language class, you should not be depending everything on a program or a language course or a book, a textbook. You should never do that. Those things will give you some knowledge, but you need to really go the extra mile. Listen to podcasts, listen to music, listen to everything that you could get your hands on, and watch shows in that language, watch movies in that language. Take everything you can to absorb as much as you could. You need to go out of your way, and in French we have an expression, sortir des sentiers battus, which is to get out of the beaten path. And what happens is a lot of people depend on a language course or a language teacher or a language exchange partner to do the work for them. Learning a language, it's one of the things in our society today that can't be bought with money. And it's only acquired through your effort and not anyone else's. So don't look at this language class and say, oh, I didn't learn anything from this. If you are in a language class and you're not learning anything, don't depend on it. Learn by yourself. Get new resources, explore more dialogues, find a language exchange partner, do something else. If things are not working, try to do other thing. The bottom line is no course, no teacher, no textbook can ever replace learning a language for you. You really need to rely on yourself. If language learning journey was a plane, you are the pilot and you're the only person responsible for where this language journey goes. If you experience success in learning a new language, it will be 100% because of your effort. If this plane ever crashes, just know that you are the pilot. Okay, that was a joke, sorry. The fourth point is not using the language. Obviously, if you are learning a new language, what is the purpose of learning it if you're not even going to use it? Why do people learn languages if they will never use it? That is the question that has always baffled me. Like, people want to learn Spanish, but when it comes time for them to actually use it, they're never going to do it. And this is the thing. The people that are successful in learning a new language, they are the ones that will find opportunities for themselves to practice, to use the language with native speakers. As you can see in my channel, I did a Ukrainian challenge, and you can see how I literally go to places and try to learn Ukrainian. So I look and see, where can I practice Ukrainian? I Google it, and I go there and I practice Ukrainian. I always hear people complain and find excuses like,
I can't find anyone that can help me with a new language.
well, this goes back to the previous point. Stop relying on other people. Stop relying on other people. If there's no opportunity in your bubble of life, you need to make the opportunity for yourself. For example, me learning Portuguese. I have been obsessed with Portuguese. I've been obsessed with Brazil, and I've been obsessed with Portugal. I love this language, and I, at that time, didn't have any Brazilian or Portuguese friends that I could practice with. I did not take any Portuguese classes in university. I didn't have really anything Portuguese in my life. I didn't have the money to travel to go to Portugal or Brazil. I didn't have anything really in my sphere, in my bubble that I call life. But what I did is I went on Google and I looked for language exchanges in my community. I went online and I practiced with different apps and different forums. I practiced with a bunch of Brazilians online and I taught them English. I did everything I could to learn Portuguese. I went to all the small businesses in my city. I dragged myself all the way downtown every week. I'd go to bars, I'd go to like different small businesses. I'd be trying to practice as much Portuguese as I could with all these restaurants, all these like small businesses. I'd be trying my best to practice Portuguese, and I really grinded to do that. And I feel personally that I learned just as much as someone who spent a semester in Portugal or Brazil. And that's just me finding the opportunity for myself rather than being,
oh, there's no opportunity here to learn the language. I guess I shouldn't.
well, we have the internet, unlike people 25 years ago. We have the internet, we have resources. It's all up to you to discover what's there for you. Discover different resources, discover people, discover opportunities for yourself in this journey. And my last point is going beyond the language. What do I mean by that? This mainly focuses on understanding culture. When people are learning a new language, they focus a lot on the language itself. But there's such a huge cultural component that is involved in learning a new language, and people always ignore that. So understand, who are the people that speak this language? Who are they? Where are they located in the world? Which countries speak this language? What is the history of that country? Why do these people speak this language? A lot of it is understanding things like music, art, food, values, how people talk, what people wear, celebrations, religion, faith. These are all things that need to be looked at. Another stage above that is understanding the history of those countries that speak whatever language. So, is there a history of colonization? Is there cultural or linguistic influence from other countries? Another step is looking at the political and social issues that this country is going through. What historical events have happened in the past that has shaped the country as it is today? The country's government, the country's way of life, the country's values. There are people that are learning Spanish at this moment who can't even name 5 countries that speak Spanish. They don't even know the history of Spanish in Latin America. They don't even know colonization had a role to play in all of this. And they don't know anything about the culture. They go to Mexico, they go to Dominican Republic, they go to Cuba. They know their Spanish from a little mini phrase book, but they don't know anything about those people. They don't know the history, they don't know the culture, they don't appreciate things around them. And guys, if you are going to a country and you have no knowledge of that country, and you're trying to learn the language of that country, you are doing yourself a huge disservice here. You will have a better experience and more enjoyment and fulfillment when you understand all of these cultural things and at least try to understand and kind of do your own research. The culture, the history, the art, the music, all of these components outside of the language itself. And you will know by doing all this that language and culture, they are intertwined, they are connected, and they cannot be separated. One thing that has changed for me when I go out and practice languages is when I invest time and effort into researching and educating myself on different languages in different countries, I have better conversations with people because I have some points of conversation to go off of, and native speakers are willing to talk to you more, and they will really appreciate you and take time out of their day to speak to you when they understand that you are a serious learner, that you have taken the time and energy out of your own life to invest in understanding their culture and their language and their history, right? People are willing to have conversations with you and are willing to educate you further on certain things in their culture. I hope that gave everyone some food for thought. And if you experienced failure in your language journey, it happens to everyone learning a new language, and it's normal. The most important thing is you understand what went wrong. And once you understand what went wrong, you are able to plan better for next time. And you will become better every single day, step by step. I believe in you, and you can do it. If you like this video, please support the channel by subscribing, liking this video, and leaving a comment. In the comment section, please feel free to talk about your language experience. What were some of the things that helped you learn a new language? What are some of the mistakes that you've seen in your own language journey? I can't wait to see the comments. See ya!